only right we wear the Respect Your Elders shirt for this video. This is the new E28 528E automatic. The best spec for an E28. Just kidding. But anyway, it's been long enough. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that this car I've debuted for a while now, but I haven't had the chance to film a YouTube video on it. So today will be our first video on my new E28, which we have to look forward to for the winter build series, and we'll get into all that in a little bit. But you'll notice right off the bat, not a diving board front bumper, so nor a diving board rear bumper. And I will be honest, that's basically what brought me to this car. So I'm gonna tell you guys a story really quick, and then we will go around and look at it. I will talk about the future plans, and yeah, I'm really excited to own this because if you guys follow me on Instagram years ago, you know that I had a maroon E28 528E, and I actually did an M20 B25 swap in it because I bought it with a blown up engine. But it was a very rough car. It was not too rusty, but a little rusty. The paint was garbage, and basically I just bought it, did the swap, and then got rid of it. And I miss it. I miss my E12 more, but in today's world, E12s are pretty hard to come by, and a E28 is the next best thing. And I think that this car was a diamond, not a diamond in the rough. I think this car was kind of a lucky find, and I'll also talk about that in a little bit, but it's a pretty clean car. So without further ado, I'm gonna pick you guys up. We're gonna walk around, and I'm gonna show you guys this car. You see the wheels it's on. It's outrageous, Trans Am wheels, which is actually pretty cool, and I actually kind of like it. It's not how the car is gonna look when I'm done with it, but yeah, let's look at this thing. So this is a silver car. I can't remember the color code. When we pop the engine bay, we'll look at it. But it is a black interior car, and as I said, it's auto, but it doesn't matter because that won't stay. Again, we'll talk about that later. But really quickly, look at how mint this interior is. Have you guys ever seen like a 80s BMW that's like doesn't have a destroyed interior? Like, these seats don't have wear on them. I'm really blown away by that. The dash has some cracks, but like otherwise this is like a very, very minty interior, which is a huge plus. So anyway, you guys obviously see it's on lowering springs with Pontiac Trans Am wheels from the 80s, which are super interesting and unique, and I think very unique on this car. And I think with the gray and the silver, they actually look kind of good. That's not really my style. These will not be staying, so don't worry. I'm sure you guys aren't hyped about these, but they look interesting nonetheless. Listen, coming around, we have no diving board, which on an E28 in America, as you guys know, is not a thing here, but it looks really good. I thought it was a Euro bumper, but I'm not sure that it actually is because there's no chrome top piece. So I'm not really sure what the bumper spec is on this. Like it seems as if it's just a like US bumper that was taken off and like things were tucked. I don't know if you guys can tell me because I have no idea. But anyway, it looks sick. So I will be calling this a Euro bumper because there's no diving board. I lost a reflector downtown Chicago. But you're coming around, paint super nice on the front end, and that's because I believe the front half of this car was resprayed once upon a time, maybe even the entire passenger side, because, and I'll talk about this mainly in the paint correction video because I've done a couple test hits and I'll show you guys in the back. I'm having a hard time understanding what's original and what's not on this car. An 86 528 should be single stage, right? And the trunk, the roof, and this side all kind of indicate to me a single stage paint job because it's faded and oxidized. But if you look at this quarter, and I'll flash it before and after really quick, this quarter was really bad. And I went at it with a buffer and kind of played with some pads and some compound and was able to revive this really nicely. Right here is a 50-50. You could probably barely see the line right there. Shinier, dull. There's a lot of fine scratches in this paint. Like, it looks like a DeLorean, which is really weird. So I think this is single stage, and I think this can all come back because, like I said, I just played a little bit here and it came back pretty nicely. The trunk and the roof will be another story. These are very oxidized, so I bought some heavy-duty cutting pads, and we're gonna make a video of me trying to paint correct this thing, so we'll see how well it will go. But like I said, this side all kind of I believe is to be single stage, but then right here there's a change in the paint. The color's pretty spot on, but this is cleared paint. You can, if you look in the corners, you can see imperfections from a respray. So this whole front end, I believe, was resprayed once upon a time, and it looks kind of like a clear paint job. Like it's certainly shinier than the rest. And then what just a dead giveaway is right here. There is a clear coat fading line. So like this is clear, then this is base. So it's weird. And the rocker on this side is silver, on that side's black, as these cars should be. So something weird with the paint on this car, but just long story short, from 10 feet, it looks pretty nice. And more important than the paint is the fact that the underside of this car is mint, just completely rust free. I mean, you guys see the pinch welds there, the frame rails. This is a very nice, I mean, obviously the subframes are gonna get some oxidization or rust, but otherwise, this is a very clean underside of this car. This is a totally rust-free car, no rust on the body, no rust on the arches here, nothing like that at all. So because of that, the paint is whatever. So we will have a video soon of me trying to paint correct this, and we'll get it as nice as possible. If I'm not happy with it, eventually this car may be in the works for a respray because it may just be worth it to me, but we will see. So stay tuned for that. It's gonna be Josh's first attempt at a paint correction. This is the only car I have the nerve to work on. I'm not really trying to start on any of my nicer cars, so we're gonna be learning together, but I think it'll be fun. Anyway, if you look at this rear bumper and you follow me often, you can probably tell what this rear bumper looks like, and it is exactly what you think it is. This is actually an E34 rear bumper, and I knew this prior because a lot of people would come up to me and buy E34 bumpers and tell me they're going on E28s. Never knew that was a thing, but apparently E34 bumpers fit perfectly on E28s. The only issue is the body line here, since the E34 bumper is kind of wide here, but there's no way for it to tuck in on this car, so unless you like cut it, which I'm not going to do. So that body line sucks, but I actually personally think this looks pretty good on this car. A Euro bumper would be cooler, so in the future we'll see. But otherwise, it's cut at the bottom to shorten it because I guess an E34 bumper is just kind of wider. So you can see the cutout for the exhaust, the rear diffuser, like the exhaust would be there, the cutout on the E34. It's cut there, and so it actually looks really nice. Whoever did it did a pretty damn good job of cutting it. And it was painted to color match, and the paint job's mediocre, but it works. But not bad. So we kind of have a Euro front bumper, E34 rear. I think it actually goes pretty well. They don't really match, but you're not looking at both sides of the car at the same time, right? So it's kind of is what it is. Eventually a Euro bumper in the rear would be cool. But other than that, we have original pinstripe, which is pretty cool. And what's interesting to me is, like I said, how, you know, the car looks like it was resprayed, yet you still have pinstriping. So I do not know. I don't know what's up with the paint on this car, unless this is original single stage that was like under a cover and the rear wasn't. No idea, but who knows, who cares. Headlights and the plastics are in just fantastic condition. The chromes are in good condition, like the taillights, like I showed you guys. These are a little oxidized, but not bad. Maybe we'll see if we can revive those. Taillights are minty. Like I said, we have a pretty mint interior. Rubber floor mats, carpet's clean, seats are mint. Headliner's not bad. It's got that weird like rusty color that always happens on these. Dashboard, like I said, is cracked, not horribly, but decent. We have an old Pioneer, probably from the early 2000s, maybe even the 90s. The cluster's stuck at 131K. The Carfax, this car is all over the place. Someone once upon a time accidentally put like 290K, and then it jumped down. And so basically the mileage, I'm guessing on this car is around 150. Someone messed it up and now it's got a mileage inconsistency, but whatever. Here's the cluster. Let me close the door really quick. So there's the check control. All of it works, which is cool. Here is the, I don't even know what you would call this. I don't know if this actually works, but that's there. Here's the cluster. Maintenance lights are all green, which is cool. You know, nothing else really that cool about the cluster. Horn works. Climate controls, the heat works, AC doesn't, of course. Electric seat functions actually work really good, not the headrest or anything. Yeah, you can hear it spinning, so it's kind of like E34s. I think the motor shrunk or something, but door cards are clean. This one just started to sag, I think, from sitting outside. Sound system's not bad. Just a super clean interior. I mean, it looks pretty low mileage. The guy that I bought it from an old guy, so I think that's kind of why it's nice and why it was a good car to get here. We'll head into the engine bay. So the engine bay on this car is super clean. I mean, like, you can see the metals and everything. Like, the manifold doesn't have any discoloration. The valve cover is pretty clean. Like, it's a really clean engine bay. Polaris metallic is the color. Like, look at the fuse box. original cover, none of the writing worn off, no rust in here, no weird things in here. Like, this is a very clean looking engine bay. This car cannot have that many miles on it. Right here, 9/9/21 timing belt was installed, so that is really cool. Apparently water pump was done and tensioners were done and the belts, so this car's actually had really good maintenance. And I don't think that this M20 won't run and be perfect for a long time to come. However, the M20 will not be staying in this car, and we'll get into that in a second. Let me just finish going over the car, and then I will explain to you guys what we are doing with this car, and why it's going to be our winter project. So, kind of ashamed to get rid of a really nice M20 like this. And there's a spider crawling on me, but it'll be cooler at the end of the day. So I'm pretty excited. But otherwise, very mint engine bay. Car runs like a top. I'll start it up right now. The car does have a charging issue. I don't know what's up, but the battery will die after a couple days of sitting. When you run the car, it charges, but I don't know. It's hard to say. I haven't really seen any draws. Like, I've done a draw check and haven't found anything. So I'm not sure, but it's not one of those things that I think I'm really going to go into because it'll all be out of here soon. But there's the M20 ticking away, a little sewing machine action. It actually runs really nicely and it pulls nicely, meaning it's slow, but it's, you know, feels solid. No leaks except for the power steering, just developed a little bit of a leak. But like, yeah, it's a really nice drivetrain car, and it really feels good and it looks like it was taken care of. So that is a huge plus there. In terms of extra goodies, it actually came with a lot of stuff. This is my battery. It came with like OG Castrol GTX high zinc, and I think the sticker on this says, the bottle's sweating a little bit, can't remember, it's set on here. The sticker might have worn off, and now you can't see anymore, but it did say like 01, I remember. So this is like 2001 Castrol, like OG Castrol, which is insane. It came with a bin of cables, wires, a hose clamp set, which is cool. It came with the original, like, not original, but replacement fuse set, jumper cables, a freaking timing light, which is hilarious, retro, oil pan gasket, washer tank is right there. It came with a car cover. It came with a fuel filter, some rubber gaskets. This is the window trim, OEM, which the car actually really needs because it the driver's side window, it leaks air. You see there, OEM. Those are my jumper cables, my tools. Some other hoses here. Came with a, what do we got here? I think this is an auto trans filter. Came with a service manual. And then a lot of just miscellaneous things like sensors, more gaskets, spare lights. Hello, that's interesting. But yeah, it came with some interesting stuff. The spare tires in there, but I don't feel like digging it out to get it. And then the toolkit is actually, that's a full toolkit, I think, right? Looks like that's a completely full toolkit, which is really cool. Even whatever this thing is, I've never seen this. I don't know what that is, but yeah, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, pretty nice car, but I'm gonna show you guys the coolest thing that it came with. So what we have here is the original BMW owner's booklet, and look at what it came with. The original cassette with the cassette cleaner with the solution to clean it. So this is basically what you would put in the cassette player of the car for the original radio, and it would kind of clean it out. And then this is the owner's manual cassette, and the original radio is not in the car anymore, so it's useless, but cool as hell that it came with that. We got the original owner's handbook. We got floor mat installation from BMW. We have Smart Care, how to keep your carpets clean. 1986 gasoline model warranty information. Accessory handbook. So this is an 80s accessory handbook. Like, oh my god, wool seats. Dude, such a blast from the past this is. Spoilers. I've had these for E34s, 90s, but never 80s, which is insane. owner's theft manual for the radio, anti-theft radio program, service information for Africa, America, Asian, Australian. Can't get it out. Oh, and that's it. So I believe this is about everything that one of these cars would come with, like from the factory. I think this is a complete owner's booklet, and it is so cool to see. This is absolute time machine stuff. But even cooler than all this is this. And I have never in my life bought a BMW, and I've owned quite a few, that have come with the original window sticker. Check this thing out. This is the 1986 window sticker. So right here is the spec sheet. So you have the number of the car, you have the VIN, 1986 528E automatic Polaris, black interior, ordered in Pleasantville, New Jersey, with the Marty Sussman ink, which is what I told you was on the back of the trunk lid there. It says Sussman stamped in still, which is insane. Original dealership. And then here's all the specs. 4-speed automatic, which you paid $595 for back in the day. BMW sound system, dealer preparation charge, destination and handling charge, total suggested retail price, $28,195. Can you believe in '86 that car was almost $30,000? Like, that's like, when you go to inflation, that's why 5 Series today are $100,000 cars, because that's, with the inflationary changes, that's like what these get to. Like back in the day, if you own that, you were a successful dude, and that's what's really cool to see this window sticker, because I don't have the window sticker for any of my other cars. And then here is the equipment model, so this talks about everything. 2.7 liter single overhead cam, 6-cylinder with Bosch L Jetronic, independent semi trailing arm rear suspension with 13-degree rear axle, stabilizers, analog fuel economy indicator, anti-lock brakes, toolkit, metallic paint. Isn't this so cool? Like, this is insane. 18 miles per gallon city, 24 highway. I wonder what that actually gets today. It's an economy model, it's not too bad. But yeah, catalyst, fuel injection, estimated annual fuel cost $892. I wonder what gas costed when this car came out. Probably around $1 a gallon, if even that. But isn't that really cool? OG window sticker. And then this is all service records from the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, all that right there. So to me, this is the coolest part of the car, because when do you ever buy an old BMW that has all this stuff? So the inner geek in me is just absolutely just screaming when I open that. So that's why, you know, I'm like buying this car from this kid who doesn't know what he has, and he's got a car that's in an original condition, not original condition, but like, well, a couple things are modified, but like clean condition with all the original owner's stuff, and that is really crazy. So what are we doing with this E28? Well, when I bought it, I kind of thought of it as strictly a car with potential that I would do a couple things to here and there, and then probably sell it. And as what always happens to me, I get kind of attached, and I think that I've talked about with a lot of people a long time that I want a 80s car that I can finally build. All my E24s never worked out. There was always something about them I didn't like. E12s are hard to build, and when I say build, I mean I like to do wheels and suspension modifications, as you guys know. E12s you can't do that with, early E24s you can't do that with, and then all the other E24s I ever had were just kind of rusty and not that nice. I've had E23s, garbage condition. I've had, you know, E32s. That's really a 90s car. So basically, in the world of 80s BMW, even I built an E30, but I don't consider E30s 80s cars because they don't look like sharks. I'm talking shark nose cars. I've never had the opportunity to build one, and I've always wanted to build one, and I think they look so good on wheels and lowered and all this. And because it's an 80s car and it's got a very undesirable and not fun drivetrain, I want to do something cool with it, and I think it's a good base for that. The paint is iffy, but in my world, paint is not, rust is worse than paint when you're from around here. So when I tell you what my plans are, you may be like, why don't you just get a 535 to start? Well, finding a 535, first off, for cheap is not easy, but in good condition is not easy. And I think what we have here is a decent enough base, and the chassis match. But so anyway, after talking with my buddy Hunter, who is an M30 enthusiast, I was kind of telling him I don't know what I want to do with this car, but I want to do a fun drivetrain, a different drivetrain. I want to get rid of the M20 and do something cool. And I was kind of in my head going between, do I want to do an S50, S52, M50 because I have M50s laying around. Do I want to do a V8? Do I want to do a turbo car? I was kind of thinking about M106 turbos from 745i's, E23s, and I'm like, that could be fun, but I feel like getting that running right and sourcing it to begin with could be nearly impossible. And we were talking, but I want to do something unique, and so we were discussing things, and he put in my mind an M30 swap with a 5-speed, a B35 though, so an E34 one, bigger than the B34 that would come in this car, and then ITBs, which is not really on the internet anywhere, but there is places that you can buy ITB kits for M30s, and you have to go standalone and stuff, and it's kind of involved. But I'm thinking about it. You could also buy cams for M30s. So I'm thinking, and this is not set in stone yet because I have a lot of parts to gather before I can even start this. I have to source a motor, a manual swap, and it might not be easy, but we will see. But I think a nice swap, since M30s kind of came in these to begin with, so like a lot of things like exhaust and transmissions and stuff will work and make it easier on me rather than like an M50 and stuff, which is actually not really an easy feat to put into these cars, not like an E30. I think an M30 B35 NA build, so cammed, fully refreshed, ITBs, individual throttle bodies, which like I said is a very rare thing on an M30 and I think would be a lot of fun to deal with. Standalone ECU, because that's what you have to do for a ITB car. Manual trans, and basically just a really cool, really badass, old school mechanical NA build. It won't be the fastest car in the world, but I think it would be very fun. I love M30s. I've had a lot of M30s, but none that I ever like personally kept in personal cars. And I have two S52 cars, an M50 turbo car, an S54 car, which is the only really different car I have. But otherwise, between my E36s and my E34s, all I have is 24 valve M5X generation motors, and I want to stray from that. And I already have one turbo car, so a turbo M30 is just not really something I'm looking to do right now. But I think a full ITB'd NA build M30 in an E28 would be a lot of fun. I think it'd be a really good driver's car, and it would be a lot of fun, and it would be unique, and I think it'd be great content. So as a rough draft, that is the plan I have for this car over the winter. If you're mad that I'm getting rid of the economy M20 auto, I don't even know what to say, but to each their own. We modify cars on this channel, we don't leave them stock. But yeah, so I'm really excited to own this. I'm really excited to get going on this. It's gonna get nice wheels eventually, nicer suspension, a full overhaul. In the next video, we are going to drive this. I'm gonna talk to you guys about what a 528e drives like and how boring it is, and talk about kind of what it needs suspension wise and everything like that. And then after that, we got a paint correction video coming up, or an attempt at a paint correction. And then as winter comes in, we're gonna dive in. So stay tuned. I think this will be a very fun build, and I'm very excited. I'm happy to be in an 80s car again. This car will come after the E30 build, which will start within the next week or so. So stay tuned for E30 build videos for my budget build E30. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys are excited for this build. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.